Hi. Hello, fellow protectors. It is I, Akiba Johnson, the writer of The Protectors, Child of the Prophecy. Yay! Jazz hands. All right, so today I'm wearing a scarf. What's up with that? It's like September. It's still warm here in Florida, but I woke up with a tickle in my throat, so I'm babying my shoes. Um, got some tea. Toast and well, that spread is a whole different story. Mm. Don't eat on the show. Okay, no eating. No eating. Okay, so I woke up with a bit of a tickle, so I'm babying myself. I am a little warm in this scarf, but yeah. All right, so I I kind of got a question, um, and the question was, um, why did um, Sydney stated a couple of times when she was asked about Peter if she'd forgiven him. And she kept saying, I forgive him, um, I don't trust him right now. And basically, that was like a brother to her, and she don't know if she would be able to feel that way again. Um, and um, a couple of people said to me that they thought that sounded a little bitter for a child that age. And I just wanted to point out that he did actually trick her, manipulate her, and try to kill her and kidnap her. So, um, yeah, that might make anybody slightly angry. So the next time somebody tries to kill or kidnap you, you have a right to be angry at them. Um, Anywho, I just kind of wanted to point out that a little bit about the scenario between Peter and Sydney, because I think maybe the person that wrote the question maybe didn't kind of fully grasp. Anyway, I'm going to read a little bit. This is the conversation between William Graves and Peter. Okay, just let me read. William Graves and Peter circled each other like two large wildcats in a small cage. Peter hesitated to make a move. He was not sure which side he was on. If he was going to leave the alliance, this was when he should. You were right, William Graves. Love is not enough. I was her fool, said Peter, then put down the pole and come over to our side. Can't do that, William. There really is no going back for me. Now I have no path, no direction. Sonona is not my mate. Too much has happened. I've done too much, said Peter. William wished he could say everything would be all right, but the truth was there would be punishment for Peter if he came back to the protectors. But he knew it was still where he should be. If Peter raised his pole to him, William would fight, but he hoped he wouldn't. Peter wasn't really completely bad. He was just weak. William said, if you want a clean slate, I can't promise you anything. You have to face what you've done, man. Forgiveness does not mean everyone will forget. Forgiveness doesn't mean everyone will forget. But you're still better off with the protector, said William. There's no better off for me anymore, Graves. The Alliance punishes mercilessly. If I fell again, I'll be killed or turned into a wraith. If I go back to the protectors, I'll be locked up for the rest of my life. It would be a mercy for you to kill me now, said Peter. What about Sydney? Don't you owe it to her to tell her at least, said William. The men still circled each other. I owe her, yes. She was like a sister to me, and I turned her over to the wraiths. For a woman who didn't even respect me. She called me her obedient slave, and it was true. Sydney and her parents deserve more than I could ever do to make up for, said Peter. Then he stopped pacing and turned to watch Sydney fight. He was mesmerized by her skill. She is the female child, said Peter. Then before William could answer, Peter threw his extending pole right at Sydney. William followed where the pole would land and saw he was trying to stop the arrow that was aimed at Sydney. The large wraith was circling around to her side to blind swipe her. The arrow that would have hit her would have taken her head off. The giant wraith turned to see Peter standing there, looking at him, snarling at him, and he shouted out, "Betrayer!" Then he retreated. William and Peter looked across the clearing at June and Sydney. Wendell was laying on the ground, knocked out. Sydney was in her zone. She was supposed to be the child of hope and peace, yet she fought like a warrior child himself. When she charged the center of the wraith, it was because it was where the largest one of them stood. She wanted him. She slid back and his army moved in around him, blocking him from Sydney. She chopped her way through row after row of the wraith, and they kept jumping in front of their master. She was aware of pulsing power in her body more than she'd felt before. She moved faster and fiercer than she thought was possible. She felt the arrow zoom past her as the scream of a wraith dying behind her faded into oblivion. She kept on fighting as she fought. She dodged the arrows that came at her. Yet even with her dodging the arrows, she found that the speed never decreased. You'll be nothing but tiny bits of flesh when we're done with you, said the hissing coming from the large wraith. Another arrow zipped past her, and she looked at it. It was large. As it hit the tree next to her, she watched as the thing popped open and cut the tree from the inside. Large pieces of tree flesh flew to the ground. She jumped straight up as another arrow nearly got her. She fought on, and soon June was at her side, chopping down the wraith. I actually read further than I intended. I kind of got caught up in the fight. Um, but I just kind of wanted to point out, I wanted to give that, I wanted to tell that part because the part that I really um, liked the most was the part that Peter said. Um, Forgiveness does not mean everybody will forget. That's not what forgiveness means. So when Sydney said she forgave him, she was being honest. She forgave him. She just, when somebody betray you so much like that, it's hard to be like, oh, all is forgiven. Let's pretend it never happened. It kind of makes her leery because, to her understanding, Peter started off as a protector, wanting to be this great protector. Then all of a sudden, he was wanting to fight with the alliance and help the race. And then he was, I want to be a protector again. So with the flip floppy, she kind of was like, let's wait and see on this one. I'm not quite sure because as powerful as an ally he was he was a fierce enemy as well. He did lie and manipulate and trap her, try to have her kidnapped by the rape. So I'm gonna take another bite. Because I didn't eat breakfast. I should have ate before I turned the camera on. So yeah, I mean, she did um, kind of. I thought she did pretty good with Peter. She uh, she 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 and Peter have been very close, and because of that closeness, such a big betrayal is even more magnified when the person is close to you. Um, so that's why. Um, oh, a couple of things I just wanted to mention. Like, one of the things I really like about the book being on the tablet. I have a lot of books on tablet, not just um, my book that I wrote, The Protectors, Child of the Prophecy, but I read a lot of my books on my tablet too. Instructional manuals, because they still have all the pictures and sketches and artwork. Um, um, it's just nice. I'm just looking over. All right, so I wanted to read this other part. Um, so I'm gonna read a little bit more. Um, this is Sydney talking to. This is after that fight. Um, Sydney looked back and saw Peter standing behind her and William standing beside him. That was when she realized it was not William's pole that had saved her. It was Peter's, the one her father had given him. They stared at each other for a long moment. Sydney didn't know what to think. One good action does not undo all you've done, Peter, said June. I know, said Peter, not taking his eyes off Sydney. But it's a start, a new beginning for old friends, said Peter. You'll be judged before the council, said Sydney. I care only that you forgive me, Sydney, said Peter, tears falling from his eyes. I forgive you, yet I do not forget, Peter. I loved you as a brother for as long as I can remember. Now there's a hole where my love for my brother once lived, said Sidney. Peter fell to his knees and wept. William put a hand on his shoulder as he cried. Sidney looked at the pole lying on the ground, and June bent down and picked it up and handed it to her. It was your father's, wasn't it? Said June. Yes, said Sidney in a whisper. She stared at the pole for a long time. Peter, do you know where my parents are? Said Cindy softly. She had been afraid to ask. No, Sid, I don't. The Lions never really trusted me, said Peter. That was smart of them. We'd be better off if we hadn't, said June. June, said William. I deserve that, said Peter. June turned her attention to Wendell, who was beginning to stir. She took out her handcuffs, the ones Hugo had given her when she had got promoted, when he had got promoted to detective. Alrighty. So, I forgive, yet I don't forget. There we go. So, that's just, I just wanted to kind of let you guys understand the dynamic between Sydney and Peter a little bit better, and why his betrayal of her was so complicated, and why she took it so hard, and why she didn't just be like, "Oh, I forgive you." It had been a really kind of deep betrayal. So yeah. Anywho, I hope you guys liked my reading. I'm Akiba Johnson. I read from The Protector's Child of the Prophecy, and most of my reading today came out of chapter. I think actually all of my reading came from chapter 26. The title of that chapter is New Strength. Um, Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed my reading. Don't forget to find me on Twitter, Akiba Johnson, Facebook, Akiba Johnson, and of course, YouTube, Akiba Johnson. Thanks so much, everybody. Bye.